Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I would like to cover a different topic, and I usually don't like to talk about politics because I feel that politics in the modern world is a mudslinging contest where people on both sides sometimes seem to have no idea what they're talking about, and the whole attempt seems to be to discredit your opponent rather than have an honest heart-to-heart Diaz Logos meeting of two minds and try to go towards the truth. Uh, However, this is a topic that I find very interesting, and I think I know something about it, and I believe that I have original insight to contribute to it. And so I would like to talk about the election of Mr. Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States of America, what it means for India. And other countries around the world, how his election has fundamentally redefined American politics, and yeah, what are its larger implications? So this whole thing starts with who Trump actually is. So Trump was a businessman from New York City, and he was first known as a property developer. And there he developed his traditional bombastic style. Because if you have to be a builder, and if you have to, build and sell properties, you have to have this manner where you brag about, the size of your buildings and oh how they're the greatest thing ever, and how everything is amazing, and how so Trump made his own name as a brand, right? So he built these giant buildings and he would put his name on them, Trump Towers, and everything associated with Donald Trump would be associated with opulence and luxury. And this is how the American public or the public in New York was first introduced to him. And he first came into the larger consciousness of America as a tough talking New York City businessman on the show called The Apprentice, where different people, it was a reality show where different people would compete to be. I think it was Mr. Trump's assistant or something like this. And he became famous for his phrase, "You're fired." And there they got to know him for his mannerisms, and Trump always comes off as a character. What do I mean by that? Well, he has this trademark orange skin, the funny hair, the bombastic way of talking, the all the comical hand gestures. Huge, gonna build a wall, where's wall? I apologize to my American friends for doing that impression, but yeah, this is how Trump became popular all over the world. Um, at least he was popular in America then because of this reality show. Then he was also while he was becoming popular, he was also becoming infamous. He was infamous because he propagated this theory, which remains unsubstantiated and does not have a lot of evidence to back it up, that President Barack Hussein Obama was actually born in Kenya. Now, Barack Hussein Obama, for those who don't know, is the American president who's of mixed race origin. So his mother is a white American woman who lives in Hawaii, and his father was a Kenyan, also black, right? So because Barack Hussein Obama is half black, half white, President Trump often propagated rumors about him that he's actually not a real president because he's not eligible to be the president of USA because he was actually not even born in America. He's actually originally of Kenyan descent. He's born in Kenya, so on and so forth. And now all of this came to a head because Donald Trump was one of the guests, was attending this thing called the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So for those people who are not Americans, it's an event where members of the press are invited to this gala, to this kind of a celebration, along with the president of the United States. And I think the larger message that it sends to the American people and indeed all over the world is that America is a free and fair democracy where even the leader of the free world gets mocked and made fun of by members of the press, right? So this is what this event is about. So in this, of course, a lot of people went and made fun of Obama, and also Obama got up on stage and he made fun of everyone else. And in doing that, President Obama mocked Donald Trump, and other comedians also mocked Donald Trump, but President Obama mocked Donald Trump, saying, "Hey, you know what, Donald? Whatever else I may call myself, American or Kenyan, I also get to call myself president, and you can never do that, right?" So President Obama mocked Donald Trump, saying that, "Oh, you can never be president." And this really lit a fire under Donald Trump. He could see, you can see, it's on YouTube, you can see his face changing color. He's getting angrier, and he really hates being President Obama saying that, oh, you can't become president. And Trump was he was considering running for the president of the United States of America for the longest time, but he'd never, formally decided to go ahead. And I, like a lot of people believe, and so do I, that this was the moment where it all changed, where President Trump's ego, or you can call it sense of pride, if you want to be charitable to the man, was provoked enough to compel him to say, no, I will run, I will make a run for the president of the United States of America. And because he began to do that. Now, no one took Trump seriously. Even when he was running for the president, he began to run as a Republican. Now, for those who don't know, America has two main political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and each political party has its own elections to select the front runner of their own political party. So Democrats and Republicans, two parties, each party will choose one person as their respective leaders, and then those leaders will have a head-to-head competition, and the winner of this competition gets to be the leader of the free world, president of the United States of America. There are other political parties, but because the American system is structured in such a way, essentially it's a two-party system with very little scope for independent parties. So Trump was running as a Republican. But what Trump was doing and what made him different from other people is that other like members of the Republican Party, was he genuinely seemed to have a connect with the ordinary people of USA. And you also have to understand that what had happened with the election of Barack Hussein Obama. So Obama's election for 2 terms as president of the United States truly caused a sea change in America and American political system, because it was the first time that a black man was elected to the highest office in the country. And there's this myth that America somehow conquered its own its own racism and became a post-racial paradise, and elected the first black president, and Americans are patting themselves on the back. But the myth that myth is shattered when you look at the data, right? Because the data shows that it was Obama did not win with the white vote. So majority of white people still voted, still did not vote for a black man named Barack Hussein Obama. That did not happen. What changed was, so I think in total Obama got like 30% of the white, something like this. What truly changed was the demographics of America, which is that because America was always a melting pot of mostly white people with a few black people in it, other people, mostly Latinos and Asians, began to pour into the country. And with that, with the demographics of America changing, the prominence or the importance and significance of the white vote decreased. And so Democrats realized that in principle, they could win with a coalition of some left-leaning white people, coupled with the racial and ethnic minorities like the Jews or the Indians and the Asian and so on and so forth. And so this was an earth-shattering moment even for the Republican Party, because they realized that they had thus far always banked on their a white, so it was Republican Party at that time was a very much a white people's party, right? There were very few leaders who were brown. They had very few leaders who were of other racial minorities, and it was always that Democrats were the party of everyone else, and Republicans were the party of the white people. Now, Republican Party officially never said anything excessively racist about other minorities, but there would be often coded language. So what people don't understand about America is that a lot of American racism is very, very subtle. So, for example, Republican politicians will talk about being tough on crime, and I'll be tough on crime, and I will enforce the laws, especially in the inner cities, which is now inner cities are populated mostly by black people, and tough on crime is usually a euphemism for cracking down harder on black people and keeping them in line, so on and so forth. So America has a deeply troubled relationship, especially with black people. And let's be honest, they're like until 1965, white people and people of color were not considered equal, even by American law, and that those kind of deep-seated racial hatred doesn't disappear overnight. So this was the nature of the Republican Party, and the Republican Party also had to do some soul searching after that. And after that, the Republican Party truly distanced itself from even any kind of racism, and they tried to move far towards the other side, where they truly became a multiracial coalition. So, for example, today, Republican Party has people like Vivek Ramaswamy, who's of Indian descent, Tulsi Gabbard, who's of Hawaiian descent. It has people like Tim Scott, who's black. It has people like man, I'm forgetting his name. Ben Carson, who's a surgeon, and he's a black. He was a black one of the black presidential hopefuls from the Republican Party. So my point is that the Republican Party changed this way, as did the Democratic Party. Another thing that changed actually with the Democratic Party was with Clinton, where Democratic Party stopped becoming the party of the working class. So working class people white working class people were traditionally voted Democrat, right? So Democratic Party won with the vote of the white working class as well as the racial and ethnic minority. So essentially, Democrats were the party of the poor people. But Clinton opened up the party to foreign donations or donations from rich big businesses, super PACs, and so on and so forth. So he supercharged the party in that sense. A lot of money began to pour in, but by that, the Democrat Party also became somewhat elitist, right? So this was first change. The second change that in the Democratic Party was the woke ideology, right? Now traditional liberalism was just live and let live. It was the hippie moment, but wokeism is extreme leftist neo-Marxist rhetoric. So it has something like, oh, there's no such thing as gender. All of gender is a social construct. There's no such thing as a woman. Now, people in other countries of the world may be astounded and flabbergasted to hear this, but one of the people was nominated to be the Supreme Court Justice. Her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. They asked her, "Can you define a woman?" And instead of just answering, "Yeah, a human female is a woman," like, what are you talking about? She just evades the question because she does not want to get into that debate, because in the Democrat Party today it's taboo to say that there are only two genders. It's insane. Also, it became from, okay, we should give gay people rights, which I believe is a great thing. It went too far. It went too far left, and so there is this wing of the Democrat Party today, which is hard left, which is sort of socialist, sort of going into communism, and it's extremely toxic. And those people are against free speech. Those people want to censor everyone, and they're just like the worst joyless people, like, because in Germany I had some experience with them. So yeah, they're joyless losers. Like, I have no, yeah, sympathy for them. Let's just leave it at that. And they say many crazy things, but one of the craziest things that's happened with the woke ideology is that men who identify as women can now compete against women in female sports. So you have men, biological men, who are in women's bathrooms, and these are innocent young girls as young as 15 and 16, forced to change with a man, and that's just disgusting. And this is happening. There are New Zealand sent its female Olympic weightlifting team, and one of the members was a trans man. That is, he was a man. He was a biological man who pretended to be a woman and then broke world records competing in the women's team, which to the rest of the world sounds insane, but this is what was happening. Now, the Democrats thought that, oh, the ethnic minorities will always vote for us. We have them on lock. They will never change their vote because whatever. But what they were not realizing is that a lot of ethnic minorities are religiously and socially very, very conservative, right? So they are far away from this woke ideology and they hate it. Woke ideology essentially seems to be the ideology of rich white people. So there was a fundamental shift in the American political system where Democrats changed from being a party of the white working class to the party of the rich white people, rich elite college educated white people, mostly in cities. And of course, some racial and ethnic minorities, particularly the black people. And while the Republican Party, especially under Trump, began to embrace working class values. So Trump was changing the Republican Party. In the same way Clinton and Obama changed the Democrat Party, Trump changed the Republican Party. What did he do? What he did was he said, I'm against outsourcing of jobs. I believe American jobs should stay in America. And for all those people who call Trump a racist and everyone who votes for Trump is a racist, let me tell you that a lot of people who voted for Barack Obama then changed their vote and voted for Trump the first time when he defeated Hillary Clinton, right? Because Trump promised to keep that he was against NAFTA, which would have exported a lot of American jobs. So America outsourced its manufacturing sector abroad, and a lot of American jobs went abroad, and this destroyed the American working class who are suffering. And Trump promised to help them, and this was one of the many reasons why he won. And along with this bombastic rhetoric, Trump did not back down, by the way, and he became president, right? And as president, you may agree with him, you may disagree with him. He said a lot of crazy things. Forget all of that, right? I don't want to get into it because otherwise we'll just be sitting here and you can hear that everywhere else as well. The two things that the one very important thing that Trump did was he did not start any major wars, right? He kept America out of wars. And like Russia did not invade Ukraine and whatever. And two, the economy was doing relatively well under Donald Trump. He cut the taxes, he imposed tariffs on other nations. So in reality, he did relatively good on the economy. People were safe and people were reasonably doing okay under Donald Trump. And he was, other than that, he had a very combative personality to say the least. Then came COVID. Trump's economy, went where took a nosedive, whatever. Then there was the election against where Trump ran against Joe Biden, right? And the thing is, in the prime, so again, there were Democrat primaries to see who would be the leader of the Democratic Party, right? As Trump was seeking re-election then to become potentially the 46th president of the United States. And even in that, Bernie Sanders, who was a socialist candidate and genuinely a good person, all in all, a genuinely good person with just a different vision for America. And again, there was some attempt by the Democrat Party elite to make sure that Bernie Sanders did not win and Joe Biden won. Now Joe Biden was old, so when he was elected, he was 78 years old, right? And there were many indications that Joe Biden had severe cognitive decline. So if you go on YouTube, there are videos of Joe Biden literally on stage shaking hands with an invisible person. There are videos of Joe Biden just forgetting where he is, what he's saying, making no sense, so on and so forth. And I'm not the people who say, what about Trump? Yeah, Trump says a lot of crazy things as well. But to be honest, he was sitting for 3 hours with Joe Rogan having an unedited conversation, and he seemed to do reasonably okay. So he seemed like a normal person. Whereas with Biden, he would forget where he was, he would just fall asleep in place, and it was bad, right? And it was so bad that he had a like when so Biden won, he became the president of the United States. Trump pushed some conspiracy theories. He said that the election was rigged, so on and so forth. Some of his protesters, stormed the Capitol, and yeah, like what happened then was a bit of chaos, right? Because protesters stormed the Capitol. Trump was indicted because they said Trump was partly responsible. And after this, after this, there was chaos. And then Trump began to seek re-election to potentially become the 47th president of the United States. And then the state machinery was truly unleashed against Donald Trump, right? In the sense that people seemed to launch lawsuit after lawsuit against him. They said, oh, you're a property dealer, you're inflating the prices of your properties, which is something that literally everyone does. They said, "Oh, you paid hush money to a porn star, etc." Which is, I mean, if you want to crucify Trump over that, what about Bill Clinton? It's like Democrats defend Bill Clinton for Monica Lewinsky. You know, so point is, people just began to, and for years, the media said, "Oh, Trump is a Russian agent. Trump is a Russian agent. Trump is a Russian agent," and that was completely unsubstantiated. So the media, mainstream media, and the Democratic Party, they started with a horrific rumor that the president of the United States is actually a Russian agent. That he was, there are some disgusting rumors that they spread other about him, which I can't even repeat because my parents might watch this video and. So on and so forth. So they said the craziest things about him, and all of them turned out to be false. But what turned out to be true that yeah, Trump had an affair with a porn star while he was married to his wife, and like Trump maybe overinflated the price of his properties, which is unethical behavior. It's morally repugnant, but it's not exactly near to the same level as being treasonous to your own country of origin. So people realize that, hey, Trump seems to be, they seem to be whatever. Additionally, the Democrat Party and the woke culture seem to be becoming more and more anti-men, right? So they would push things such as masculinity is toxic. We need to teach children about transgenderism and sexual orientation, and it was creeping everyone out. So anyone who was a god-fearing Christian in America, or even a god-fearing person of any religious persuasion, was utterly disgusted by it. Because if you are a religious person and you are happily married with children, you obviously don't hate women and you obviously don't hate men, right? You just believe in coexistence and you want to have a happy life with your family. And they seem to be, the Democrat Party largely now seem to be anti-men, and they seem to, like, crucify men unnecessarily while refusing to pay attention to men's suffering. So all of this was happening, right? And men, especially black men, seem to, and Latino people seem to be turning more and more towards Trump because they realize that, yeah, like everyone said Trump is a racist, Trump is a Russian agent, but actually he was helping me. He was reasonably okay as a president. The economy was doing okay. There were no wars, everything was fine, so on and so forth. And Trump, to his credit, did a lot to actually help black people sort of like get out of prison, so on and so forth. There was additionally one more thing. Then, like, Trump had one debate with Joe Biden, and there, Joe Biden's cognitive decline was there for the world to see. Like, he was slurring sentences, he could not remember where he was like talking non sequiturs, so on and so forth. So, the world could see that Joe Biden was cognitively not here. That happened. So the Democrat Party said that, oh, Joe Biden is no longer the president. Now Kamala Harris is the front runner. What did they ignore? No primaries, right? So this was one of the few times in American history. I don't know if there were other times. At least in my memory, it's never happened that the American presidential frontrunner of the Democrat Party was chosen without voting. So Kamala Harris is someone who no one voted for, right? In fact, when she was in the primaries, Tulsi Gabbard absolutely finished her career by saying that Kamala Harris put a lot of black people in jail by being unnecessarily harsh as a criminal prosecutor. And this came, so there was, and because as Trump was seeking re-election, this was the second change, a fundamental change in the Republican Party. That is, a lot of people who were actually Democrats, who were part of the Democratic primary, and who wanted to be the Democratic frontrunner, and who might have given Trump a run for his money, were disheartened because Kamala Harris was just chosen by big business. There were two of those people. One was Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat politician who I have tremendous respect for. She's a war veteran from Hawaii, and she's a woman of color, so technically Democrats should love her. And she served in war, right? She was a medic, and during that she was stressed out. Her hair turned white because of the stress, and she suggested that why is America fighting in all these foreign wars? We should just focus on ourselves. For that, she was called a traitor by Hillary Clinton. And that deeply hurt her, right? So she was also called a Russian agent, just like Donald Trump was. That deeply hurt her. And then she was denied the chance to run primaries, and just Kamala Harris was chosen without, whatever. Another person was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So he's the nephew of John F. Kennedy, right? Who was shot by a lone gunman. There were some conspiracy theories surrounding it, which I won't get into right now. So RFK Jr. Talks about promoting health in America and tackling the obesity crisis and making sure that America eats right, so on and so forth. So he also had some very reasonable issues. And both of these people were powerful voices on the Democrat front came to the Republican Party. And they put their support behind it. And with that, a lot of people who might have voted for Democrats, because Tulsi Gabbard was a woman of admirable character, and so is Robert F. Kennedy, regardless of whether you agree with them or disagree with them. They put their hat in for Trump. Yet another thing happened, which is Trump was almost assassinated. So there was a lone gunman again, right? In Trump's case, who got within 150 yards of him, and he took a shot at Trump. And Trump turned his head at the last second, and the bullet grazed his ear. Now, when it grazed his ear, right? Trump impressed me. I have never been this impressed with another politician in my life because after getting shot in the ear, right, Trump showed immense courage. And with blood flowing down his face, he stood up and said fight, fight, fight. And then he went off. And then he was rushed off the stage. So this just shows that for whatever else you may say or may not say about Trump, he is not a coward because it takes immense bravery to be shot in the face and come this close to dying and then get up blood pouring down your face and scream fight, fight, fight. And this was, in my opinion, a turning moment in American politics because it showed the American people that Trump really has courage. And I don't know if some other politicians have this level of courage. And it showed the American people that this toxic rhetoric that the Democrat Party was spewing against Trump, calling him a Nazi, calling him Hitler, so on and so forth, it was really like leading to horrifying outcomes, not just for Trump, but for American democracy. Another thing, what was happening was that because the Republican Party has become so multiracial, the Democrats' usual attempts to call all Republicans a racist was backfiring on them. Because how can you? So when the Republican rally happened, right? A lot of people on the left called it a Nazi rally, but there was Vivek Ramaswamy there. There were so many Jews there. Trump's own daughter is Jewish, so yeah, like his son-in-law is Jewish, and he's completely pro-Israel. So he's whatever else he may or may not be. He's not a Nazi, and he's not Hitler. That is just completely ridiculous. So thus, what happened was Donald Trump ran for office, and people voted for him in overwhelming numbers. So he's the first president of the United States of America to have won the popular vote for a Republican candidate since 2004. So I think the last person to do it, I believe, I'm not sure, was maybe Reagan. I'm not sure though. So this is a fundamental change in American politics. Why? Because for the first time, or for like now, the both parties have changed forever, right? The Republican Party of old about country clubs and like rich white people is gone. Today, the Republican Party caters to the working class. It is multiracial, and it has a lot of people who were former Democrats who now are embraced in this. And today, honestly, the Republican Party seems more accepting of diversity, of diverse opinions, so on and so forth. And it also is conservative in the sense that it stands for God, it stands for family, it stands for country, it stands for hope. And the Democrat Party has become a party of intellectuals. It has become a party of rich, college-educated people of privilege, or who are mostly urban in nature, and it has alienated itself from a lot of people who otherwise might have had sympathies for it. And with that, this brings the story to a close. This is how Trump won. This is why Trump won, and what are the implications for the world. One of the first implications for the world is that I hope and believe that wars might decrease because the last thing Trump wants to do is get America involved in some conflict. In fact, JD Vance was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and in his interview, he was quite clear in saying that he has no interest in getting involved in Ukraine, and America might just let Russia take it and be like whatever. Additionally, they will force Europe to pay for their own defense, which is also what they plan to do. And America essentially will become more isolationist. It will have more protective trade policies. It will put more tariffs on other countries, so on and so forth. What will change for India? The short answer is not much. Because here's the thing, guys, India today is now an American ally. And the reason is because Asians, Indian American, are one of the richest ethnicities in America, and Asian voters are there in the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. So there are Indians, and there's a Republican Hindu coalition, which is one of the lobbying groups for President Trump. JD Vance, the vice president of the USA, his wife is of Indian origin. Vivek Ramaswamy has a prominent place in the cabinet, so on and so forth. Plus, Donald Trump has a personally wonderful relationship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But on the Democrat side, Kamala Harris herself, her mother's name is Shamala Gopalan, right? So And the only difference with the Republican and Democrat administrations is how they'll deal with India. So if it was a Democrat administration, they'll scold India by saying, "Oh, you guys are not treating your minorities well. Oh, women are being oppressed. Oh, gays are and whatever." But this is just surface level bullshit rhetoric, which will have no lasting impressions because either their foreign office will issue something, our foreign office will issue a rebuttal, and on the ground, trade will go on as always. Other relationships will continue as always. Bilateral ties will get strengthened. There'll be cooperation in defense and intelligence, and this thing will continue. The Republican Party will be there. Trump will talk something about, yeah, I have a great relationship with Modi. He's a friend. We're going to have a great job, and so on and so forth. But he'll talk about India is a very huge partner. And then he'll talk about how whatever trade with India, that this and that, and he'll talk about slapping some tariffs on India, and we'll retaliate with tariffs of our own, which is again surface level economic bullshit. But beyond it, there will be deep economic cooperation. We will cooperate in the defense sector. American manufacturing, American companies will come to India. We have been providing tech support long enough to America for it to become a stereotype and Americans to get used to this accent instead of annoyed by it. So yeah, it won't change. People to people, I think it will be fine. And honestly, I think Americans have a good equation with India, a good, reasonably good relationship with India. Shout out to Alec Fufidio, who I consider my friend from Florida. And let me know, Alec, if you think this made sense. And yeah, I know Alec will probably disagree with me in some cases, but yeah, here it is. And shout out to Dhruven Kulkarni, one of my best friends, who suggested that I make a video about this. I hope you like this, Dhruven. Knowing you, you'll probably got bored in the first 5 minutes, but it is what it is. Sorry if this is a long video, but I felt that it was important to lay it out. Thank you for your attention. Like, share, and subscribe. And shout out to Sharwari. Good luck with everything, and see you guys later.